Wow, we're back.
Whoa.
We're back. And that's right, guys. We're an anime podcast. And spoilers up to episode 7 of all 8 of our shows. And PR time. Yeah, we almost did it. We almost had a completely the same power ranking, except for me and Mason. And also, my top 3 is different because I have thoughts.
Yeah, honestly, it's actually astounding how close everything is.
I'll get this out of the way real
Yeah.
quick just now. I really liked Buddy Daddies this week. I have a very hard time moving my second and third, doing my second and third every week. So I just wind up putting Tomo at second because it's my child.
That's okay.
So that's how my brain works. Trigun. Well, I'll talk a lot about Trigun is arguably the best show we have right now.
Yeah.
We'll talk about it at large. But Buddy Daddies this week was insane. We'll talk about it. I'll also talk about High Card and why I still have it in the mid bracket. And I'll talk about the show this week that I think deserves to be higher, but unfortunately cannot move any higher given the competition it has.
Me and John have one difference. No, we were so
Yeah, we
close
have
to the
one
same
difference at the
place.
bottom. I'm sorry. I should have been flipped. I should have been flipped. I forgot how bad Reborn was.
I flipped back and forth with
We'll
them multiple
talk
times. I almost
see,
dropped Fire Hunter
here-
because of CG bug.
Here's
Yeah.
my argument. I actually the CG bug looks fine. Here's my argument. I don't think that Reborn was any worse than it normally is. I just think Fire Hunter was actually okay.
Yeah,
this
Fire Hunter was
week.
actually like really
Fire
good.
Hunter was really good this week.
Let's-
The issue is that a lot of other shows were also really
Yeah,
good
let's-
this week.
Anyway,
and I don't
let's-
particularly care about Fire
let's
Hunter.
let's roll into it. It's Tomo
Yeah.
time. Tomo-chan is a girl.
Yay.
This week we start childhood flashback about a promise that Jun makes to Tomo, but first we have to experience their entire childhood friendship together. They cover most of the important details. And it almost kind of feels like there's a point that Jun does know Tomo's a girl pretty early on. It feels like that. I don't remember how well that came off in the manga originally, but it certainly feels like it in the episode. There are a lot of times, a lot of the looks he'll give Tomo, are kind of him I think especially the moment that sells it is her going to beat up the boys to get the DS back. Because that very much feels like a, hey, this was my problem. You shouldn't have put yourself in danger. This is a masculine thing that feels like it's been trampled upon because you fought my fight for me. And without me, and without even bringing it up to me. We have lots of Gundo being smug, even as a child. I love her so much. And then we go into the second, and then we learn that the promise is that once Jun has proven to Toma that he is a stronger man, he will come take his DS back, and it has been 10 years. To which we get one of my favorite parts of the show, and its source material, where Tomo is just playing the DS on her bed, and it's like, damn, where are you, bro? Come on, you're already stronger than me. Come take your DS back, homie. Because I just really enjoyed that interaction. And then we get to the second half of this episode, which is the beach. That's right, baby. Episode 7 beach episode. Cannot escape. To which the gang goes to the beach because they've bought Tomo an actual bathing suit to wear. And upon Carol going, don't you want to see Jun's reaction? Gundo goes, okay, fair, let's go. At which point, Jun is then bullied into oblivion for being a man on a beach trip with 3 women. To which we get lots of booba humor, and by that I mean my favorite part of the episode is Jun sitting next to Gundo and her going, "This isn't fair. Why are you next to me?" And he goes, "You have no effect on me." Power stance. We also do get the very sleazy guy who hits on Tomo, and I very much appreciate both her and Jun having a moment where they're like, "Why does this feel so wrong?" And Tomo being like, "Why does it feel so wrong?" Though, like, it's nice that he called me cute, but something about him's weird. And then when he's like, "Yo, bro, why you interrupting me if she's not your girlfriend?" Jun's like, "You're just fucking weird, bro. Get the fuck out of here. You ain't touching her." And also Carol Carol pushing boundaries and getting punished for them. I enjoy this episode. End of it highlights again the Gundo is kind of toying with Jun to see how far she can push in kind of the push them towards each other to be a couple. Will they both act or realize or be able to change anything if she keeps playing with it? I really like Gundo's role as kind of like a puppet master almost with the two of them, but also still having lots of things about her that it seems we don't fully understand. Because while we did just go into a decent amount about June, in fact, this episode, these two parts of this episode feel much more June focused than Tomo focused. You get a lot of stuff from June's point of view, which I think is really nice. He almost suffocates Tomo in a hoodie, and it's very funny.
Alright, no boobs.
Tomo-chan,
No boobs.
Only
eyes.
I very much enjoyed
Only
this
face.
show. Only face. Fucking I really wanted the gif of that is the screenshot of Gundo going woo.
Okay, so Shaw, there's an important thing that didn't happen in Japanese.
Mhm.
So in the English, so there's the bit where Tomo has a Carol in a headlock.
Yes.
It's right after the girlfriend bit,
Yes.
and Misusu says the line, how is that a problem? No, she goes, isn't that a good thing?
Yeah.
And then the next line in the English dub is Tomo pointing at Carol going, how is this a good thing?
that is
line
very
ever.
that is very good.
And I'm sad. I checked the Japanese. That's not what she says. And I'm
No.
like, no, it's so sad.
It is very good.
I was like,
That's
oh,
a
it was
great
the greatest
moment.
screenshot ever. How's the good thing pointing at Carol as she's being adorable?
I mean, I also
Name.
really wanted to take the screenshot because it shot me as soon as this second half started of Carola with her outfit with the glasses on, just being like, "Hoi!"
Yeah.
and was not ready for her. Never am.
Fair.
Kind of my remaining thought on Tomo is that this episode for me continues to solidify the fact that while all of these characters individually are like character types that I've seen elsewhere, the way they work with each other, just blends so well with this story. And I think the writing really shines because of that too. I adore this show.
The show's really good. I've really been enjoying it. Like it does its comedy really well. It does its romance in a way that I enjoy, even though it very much is like this is an anime romance. It feels like it's gonna go on forever. Like it's enjoyable how it does it.
Yeah. The show is just it's really fun, cute, funny. The way the romance is paced, as much as it is a very slow build romance, it doesn't like feel slow like one of our other shows that it certainly feels like it's going slow as fuck for no reason.
Yeah.
Okay, I think Angel made big strides this week, first of all, but
Yeah,
second
you're,
of all, we'll
yeah,
get
you're
there.
right. The
it's
show
one of those
ended.
parts
The show ended.
They start.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll
I
talk
wanna
about
stay
it.
forever.
But yeah, I like Tomo-chan. It's a really good show. Definitely leans more on the comedy side than the romance side. It's like
Yeah.
the flip flop of the two shows, right? And yeah, I think it's a good time. I love Gundo. She's just the best character. Just every scene she's in, she is like the deadpan comedy style, and it's executed so perfectly every time, and I love it.
Even as a child, it works so well.
It's amazing. It's amazing that they have two deadpan comedy characters, and they're both so good.
They are the definition of that of the goth and cheerleader art meme where it's like, why can't we could just be friends. I also adore the fact that at the end of the episode, Tomo is sleeping on Gundo and Carol is trying to kiss Gundo, and there's just the hand the whole time. Probably I think the best line in this episode for me though comes from June, where he's like, obviously things with Tomo have changed, and he's just like, I wanted today to be a fun day where we just do the stuff we usually do, but for some reason she touches me and I just freeze, and
My brain just
it's like, yes, you're experiencing it, you poor boy, suffer.
yes. You shall
suffer the effects of romance.
But we'll see.
Yeah.
I mean, again, I think it's important to know that like he does also just say like he's like, I don't really know what I want from here. That's why I'm taking so long.
Mhm.
I was like, yeah, you know what? Fair enough. and we'll see if he does end up doing anything. So hopefully. But again, slow burn romance probably not this season. So
Hi.
yeah.
You're welcome for not grabbing the screenshot of the CG bug.
I appreciate it. So Fire Hunter this week actually kind of went off. I'm not gonna lie. So they're in the capital. Toko has run into Kira, which is Koshi's like adoptive new sister, and she's
Something like
nice.
that, yeah.
She helps Toko get back to the where Shozo and all of them are at. And then she goes out again and runs into a spy from the gods.
The spiders?
No, they're from the
Something?
gods.
No, it's from the gods. It's from the gods. Yeah. Koshi finds her and throws some
Flashbangs.
bottled light. Yeah, flashbangs the fuck out of this like ghost ninja thing, and then takes her. They run away. Finally, get the moment of like them meeting. It's very good because Koshi, like Toko, explains how his dad died, and he explains that he had hated his dad because he thought he was that he abandoned his family, and he's actually happy now because he realized that his dad actually was dying saving someone, so he doesn't have this resentment towards his dad anymore, which is nice. And then I'm skipping around in the episode because it just makes more sense to follow one character, I feel, and then go to the next character. Eventually they come to an agreement of Toko needs to go to the Forbidden Quarter to go to the Magic Tree people and get some medicine. Kochi's going to bring her there as long as she tells him about Skyfire and the how the spiders have mastered fire. Also, at some point in the middle of this happening, well, not in the middle of this happening, but between Toko leaving the second time, Kun gets a bug familiar that's a CGI bug, and he can like
He casted Find Familiar.
yeah,
and he can look
Yeah.
through the familiar's
Yeah.
eyes.
yeah, it's a familiar. It just works like that. Aside from that, that's most of what happened this episode, to be honest. But it was just nice having like, hey, the plot is moving forward, and also shit's kind of happening because that ghost ninja thing was cool as hell, honestly.
They finally had the two main characters interact, so the stories are finally connected to one. The ghost ninjas were like really weird. I'm still fucking confused as to what they are, but like they're cool.
Yeah.
They say
Also, tree people mentioned. Pug.
They say spy, and then the actual Japanese is shinobi.
Yeah, it's actually just shinobi, which, like, okay, that
Makes
does
sense.
track.
Yeah.
That is what they were technically used for. So
There's a couple of odd things. Akira walked out of that building with her dog with really strong death flags.
yeah,
They gave her own little special splash art with her dog, and I was like,
that was also that was one of the cuts of all time to that big splash art. I was like, what's the point of this? They're just walking away. I don't get it.
Again,
Why is
really strong death flags.
yeah.
Really interesting conversation. Is his sister? Well, what's the stepsister's name? The adopted
Kira.
sister, Kira.
Kira.
Kira being like, yeah, my dad's kind of like possessive and like thinks you're like property to own. And also, like, despite that, they're still my family and I trust them. Please, like, tell me cool stuff. And I'm like, huh?
Oh, yeah.
You played both sides of that. Real interesting, girl.
One of the other things that that did also happen.
They're setting up landmines in the capital.
Yeah, they're setting up landmines in the capital against a potential spider invasion, and also to like, man, if the gods come down here, we need to fuck their shit up, kind of. They're not doing us good.
They're also trying to figure out how to bomb people.
Yeah,
They looked at
Kochi brings up that.
old art
yeah.
photos of like military grade bombers.
Yeah,
This was
they're like,
an episode.
yeah. I mean, I enjoy that they're doing the. Yeah, we're not like. I like that it's not just like, oh yeah, we're in a post-apocalyptic setting. Let's just forget about that. That's just kind of the setting. It's like, no, this is like, we're gonna bring it up because it is post-apocalyptic. Like, there are remnants of what the world was before, and I do like when that happens.
Yeah. There's also this moment where Kira gives Toko a candy, and then later, I feel like it's not intentional, but then later Akira's warning Kun about strangers with candy from that district who smell weird, and I'm like, I don't like that odd parallel we have here, but I don't think it actually matters at all.
It was the don't follow strangers.
Yeah,
that, even
that's
if they
the
give
point.
you candy,
I'm like,
but that's kind of what Toko ends up doing. I guess
yeah,
the
it's
idea is
really,
very much does
Yeah.
exactly that. It
really
follows
weird
strangers,
that
gives
had
you candy.
happened. I will give this show credit. It probably saved itself this week for me. Because yeah, there's probably another show that needs to go. And this at least is doing things that are interesting and at least somewhat coherent.
It's getting more coherent. It's following a plot now. I'm proud of it. I recognize that this is probably going soon, but I definitely think there's another show that probably needs to go first. I am here to back arrow the fuck out of this show and drag it along.
Mate, you don't understand how far back arrow got. You don't understand.
know
how
how-
See,
like,
there's a difference between this and Back Arrow. This is like maybe like actually a good show for some people
Yeah,
that just, like some of us aren't the biggest fan of. Back Arrow was an objectively garbage show, but was
Now-
really funny.
Now hold on,
It was something.
you're right.
No, I agree, Sean.
But his
He's wrong.
name-
It wasn't funny.
His name was Back Arrow.
Well, Back Arrow. Yes, that's my name. Back Arrow.
Yeah, his name was literally Idiot.
Idiot.
It was a good bit.
was
Look,
a pretty
I
funny
still
bit.
stand by the fact that Mecha Western, whatever the fuck we were going with there, was a cool aesthetic.
Mecha Western, we're locked behind the walls, gotta break out, gotta break free.
So-
Bomb ass
I would like to
opening.
preface this by saying I remember when John was on the podcast for this, and I was just hopping in call watching stuff with him, and I watched exactly, I think it was like episode 7 of it, and had no fucking clue what was going on, but I had heard John bitching about it the whole time. And then the opening comes in, and I'm like, why is Lisa here? Like,
Yep.
Why?
Why?
Cowboy
It's
hats
so-
with mechas.
Yeah,
and
so
superpowers.
why
funny.
is there a wall?
Okay, the opening was actually just like a good
Really
opening.
No, you
good
forgot,
opening.
you forgot the electric
like
sky
visually
ceiling mason
good.
that keeps him in.
Yeah, I forgot about that
wall.
too. Shit, you're
Oh,
right.
it's so funny.
Okay, but
Um,
that was different.
Hi.
That's an anime
Uh,
for Donald Trump.
Let's talk about a show that's
Shut
been doing things that we have to talk
Yeah,
about.
well.
It's High Card. High Card is
Yeah,
notoriously
Doing things?
in everybody's middle of the. It definitely is doing things, and I'm gonna talk about it. Welcome to a show that's everybody's middle of the pack or slowly dipping down farther than where it was. High Card this week we pick up on just another new card as Finn and Chris are trying to take the 2 of diamonds from this girl. And we find out her ability is to zipper them together. We are JoJoing it up in here. They are now holding hands for the entirety of this gay-ass episode.
Yep,
and-
it's
and-
a
and-
part 3 bit. It's actually the
It's-
best at fight.
Yep.
Yeah,
And the show certainly runs with the "oh no, people are gonna think we're gay. What are we gonna do?" bit. And then it decides to not really focus on this problem, or try to solve it, and instead go into Chris as a character and his personality and persona by showing us his sister, who is clearly ill the moment we see her, and thus we are building up to that conclusion, which winds up leading to, one, before this, a dream where Finn has PTSD about his parents' death, probably. We'll get back to that next week, I
Like
think.
Black Knight or something.
Yeah!
Yeah.
That got
Huh?
dropped in here a minute. And then also, learning about Chris, and then this girl just kind of being like, "Hey, you're lying to your sister, you horrible man. I know men when I see them. I'm gonna rat you out to your sister." And then she's like, "Oh, but his sister's actually kind of cool. Okay, I'll deal with that. I'll deal with this later. Now we're just gonna have a good time." And then once tragedy strikes and she gets ushered back to the hospital, everyone realizes how close to death she is. They kind of just let Chris get away with his lies. And then she also gets a job at the bar so that she could be around Chris. I like this episode if and only if this and last week are a sign that High Card plans to go much longer than 12 episodes. Because
Yeah, it seems like
that's
it's
what
setting up to go for a bit.
that's what these 2 episodes have felt like, is High Card going, we have time to explore a while, and we don't plan on ending anytime soon. We're gonna do fun shenanigan stuff as we build to, like, big central, confrontation. Otherwise, I don't even really dislike this episode, besides the fact that I don't really think Chelsea, I think is her name.
Yeah.
I don't really care too much for her. She has some interesting points, but I think overall, like, I think her interactions with Finn and Chris are really weak. More so because, like, Finn just kind of gets ignored for 80% of this episode. It feels
Finn's
really
literally
weird.
just being pulled around this whole episode. He's just there.
Yeah.
I think the stuff with Chelsea and Chris is neat. I think Chelsea's good because of the stuff she can do with Chris as
Yeah.
the person who can, like, her thing is that she can see past, like, disguises, like
Yeah.
fake faces people put on. And I think that's a really good thing for Chris, like, that specific part of it. Also, like, she's just, like, maybe gonna be not exactly part of the team, but she's there now. She's like a continual character that's going to just always be at the bar. And that's neat.
So I actually found this out a little while ago, but I remembered it after you mentioning this might go a while. So this is not just like an anime and a manga. It is a full-on multimedia
project
thing. So it's like there is a manga series that is a side story that is coming out. There's a novel series that they're doing. They're doing drama CDs and then also the anime. So, like, this is going to be a long-running thing from what it seems like.
The question is what form it's going to be long running.
We have 52 cards to get through.
Yeah.
True. And we've only gotten through like 10.
Yeah, I need to update the spreadsheet. It's interesting. I really like Chris, and the idea behind him. I just think, I think there's other things that you have to develop with his kind of character. Like, it's fine to have the two-faced guy who puts on an act to be all hotshot to hide the fact that he's a sweetie for his sister, right? But, like, you also kind of, like, there should be a reason why he's gone to, like, being the hot guy who flirts with women as his cover. Like, it's very interesting that's what he's done. What I'm saying is, I really like Sylvain, from Fire Emblem Three Houses. I think his character and why he's the way he is one of my favorite pieces of writing in that game. And I want to see a little bit more from Chris as a character. But I'm excited to get stuff.
I can't wait for mommy issues, because I feel like that's what's gonna happen.
Mm-hmm. See, my biggest thing about this show that I didn't like about this week is, like, how do these two dudes, specifically, like, I'm willing to give our main boy a pass, but, like, how are you, like, then hunting down these cards in a secret organization, and you let random girl on the street just come up and grab your hands, who clearly has a powerful mythical card, and stick you together with your partner?
They just didn't see it coming. They never do.
Chris,
see it coming.
Chris, you literally had a gun duel with a guy who can use marbles to shoot your fucking head off. And yet you can't beat girl who stick hand together. Like, come on, man.
They don't use their powers once this episode, which I think is more a testament to what Finn winds up saying towards the end of, towards like the middle and then again at the end of the episode, where he's like, "Look, she's just a girl, right? She's not doing any harm. We can probably let her have the card for a bit and figure something else out, right?" Like, I think it introduces an interesting idea of, if the person with the card isn't doing anything dangerous or illegal with it, and the card itself is not inherently too dangerous, is there a problem letting it lie out in the open for a bit so long as you have your eye on it? In that same way, like, everyone they've been fighting so far has been, like Klondike related for the most part. So, like, this is seemingly the first just, like, person who has a card who's not Finn. And so it's a matter of, like, well, you can't just pull out your gun and shoot her. He is just a social media influencer.
I mean, I get why they don't, but, like, at the same time, like, you think they'd be able to, like, win in hand-to-hand interventions without just getting stuck.
Yeah, the idea is that she catches them off guard, and then they're just kind of, from that point on, absolutely fucked when it comes to fighting, because you're not used to carrying someone else around. It's like a three-legged race.
Mhm.
You're just,
They're
you're not ready
fuck she
for it.
didn't do it backwards.
I will be honest. There was a point where
So they're just spooning all the time.
the way their hands get
Oh, you mean
zipped
JoJo's?
together. The way their
It's
hands
so
get zipped
uncomfortable
together,
for
I,
Finn.
I was so worried for them because it felt like they were going to be in a really shitty position with their hands, but we were just like, no, they're fine. We're not going to worry about which hands it was.
Logistics.
And
I will say, I do like the fact that they go, yeah, no, they did use his powers actually this episode, because
Yeah.
Chris, they
Oh,
chop his
yeah.
off.
they chop
Yes.
his arm off, and then it grows back together. They
And
go, well,
they're
how are we supposed to know?
he is also screaming in pain the entire time he
Well,
does
yeah.
that.
Well,
Cutting
yeah,
your
'cause they're
arm off
chopping
probably
his
hurts.
goddamn arm off.
Also, Michelle's adorable, and I love her.
Who does
Great.
she remind me of?
That
She-
character from
I don't know,
JoJo's Part
every
4.
character who's sick from everything.
But she
Mason, that
also
one-
there
Mason,
are
that one character from JoJo's Part 4 who was like in the other realm that's actually dead.
Oh, Raimi.
Yeah.
There are two characters
That's who
this
she
week
reminded me
who
of.
very much look like other characters, and I know what the other one reminds me of. Thanks, buddy daddies. We'll talk about it when we get there. She looks like a very particular character, and I just can't put my finger on it. But, I don't dislike High Card. I am hoping we get back onto something, that feels really, really strong, but I think High Card is slowly losing to other competition.
Yeah, no, it's more. We had a lot of really solid, like really, really good episodes this week, and High Card just kind of sat there and
Yeah.
went another episodic shenanigans. Time with Chelsea, with her stand, a love connection.
Well, hi, let's
Yeah.
talk about Angel this week.
Aye, that's my turn. That's my cue. Oh, I know this one. So Angel this week. So the show, a lot actually happened this week. Like a lot. I would say at least. So basically, it's the day before like the next break because we're in springtime now. And our homie Itsuki had a fight with his dad. He's like, "Hey, can I just like stay over for a couple days?" And he's like, "How long? 3 days? Okay, sweet." And then his girlfriend finds out, and she goes, "Well, then I'm gonna stay at Mahiru's house because I want Mahiru's cooking too." And so they all kind of hang out together for the couple days. After those two leave, Mahiru is talking with her mom as her boy leaves his house for the day, and finds out that she's a bitch. Shocker. Goes back to talk with her. They have this nice long talk where she's just like, "Yeah, my parents just had a kid and they really didn't want to, and so I was just kind of treated as an obligation for my entire life." And basically like they talk about it, they sit on the sofa, they have cute moments. Talks about her history. Basically we finally learn about her parents being just terrible people, and like about her personas and stuff. And so she grew up trying to like having her parents pay attention to her, but they clearly just didn't care because they just did not want to have a relationship together. They were kind of like an arranged marriage thing. And mom literally calls her directly an unwanted child, which is fucked. And then they just have like this really like, he's just a good boy. He take care of her. He keeps her close.
He
talks her
doesn't do
through it,
anything fucking weird this
lets her
week.
cry.
Yeah,
Doesn't
he
do
doesn't
anything
like make
fucking
a
weird.
comment like, "Oh, you're so close." If I was
just a
anyone
good
else, I'd do some
boy.
weird shit.
Like he doesn't like put her on the lap and go, "Well, you're right next to my penis."
Yeah.
But like he does backpedal like 4 times. I'm like, he's like, I think you're great. I mean, like I would think you're great, but like not in like the way like a boyfriend would think you're great. But then the episode like kind of like just agreeing like we should just stay together for a long time, like forever, and they're holding hands for like the last like 5 minutes of the episode.
In
It's really cute.
public, out in public. They
In
are
public.
basically
I mean,
a couple by the end of this episode.
I mean, he does have his
Yes.
nice hair parted though.
They're a couple
Um,
that has not said they are a couple.
He has an
And they will not do that for
his
12
hair's-
for 5 more
his
episodes.
hairstyle is in between
Yeah.
where it's not all fully parted, but it is slightly parted, so it looks better
is
than the
it's kinda
shitty
like,
style
yeah.
we've had because you don't see his full fucking forehead.
You don't get to see the 7 head.
I think
I do. I will say, as the last couple of notes for this episode, like I like how like flirting in any capacity completely breaks the Mahiru machine. Like
Yes.
at this point, her brain just goes spaghetti.
It's really good.
Shou-
I actually do like
Sh-
this.
and
bit.
shout outs to the wing couple for actually trying to be like, so like, why aren't you guys dating? It's like, guys,
Yeah, they're sitting there
it's
like,
fine.
how the fuck are these two not dating? Like, they're doing this. What are they doing?
Like they're sitting on the couch like cuddling, and they're in the kitchen cuddling. Like what the fuck? Like
It-
guys,
it's the idea that I guess the idea that neither of them have been in a relationship. They don't know what the fuck a relationship is.
Me,
I get
sta-
that.
me stares
get
at
that,
Michael for
like-
no particular reason.
But yeah, I mean, I thought this episode was really good. Like actually, like stuff happens. Obviously, like they're gonna backpedal the fuck out of this because this is a rom com, so of course they
Are
will.
they?
But
I actually don't know if I.
How
I
how
think
will
this.
they?
I think this
it's
show.
an anime rom-com.
I think this
Maybe
show
they won't.
has to move to them in school. I think they have to be developing like. It spent so much time not showing us either of them and their relationships with other people at school, and instead just being like, this is how they generally feel about these people. Like we don't actually get to really see most interaction. That's gotta be where this moves to.
I will say though, like him not being a creep, it was cute. A lot of stuff happened. I thought it was a really good episode.
Yeah. I mean, I do feel that I think the stuff with her would have hit a lot better if, again, we saw more of how she acts in school and around other people, but because we're so isolated on the settings we're in and just her relationship with him, it does kind of feel like we don't have the justification for how she feels to a degree or how they're painting her. Like, when... Like, they describe, like, her bad characteristic, and I'm like, sure, I guess she's kind of felt like that at times, but, like...
Yeah, that was certainly something.
Yeah.
I'm sharp-tongued and
Maybe at, like, the
mean-spirited.
Maybe at
I'm
the
like,
start
cool,
of the
but
show when you were,
sharp-tongued,
like,
sure.
clean your
I can
house,
kinda see that.
yeah.
Mean-spirited? No.
It's like,
Mean spirited. You literally.
Okay. People who are like very nice often think the littlest things they do are
Yeah.
such a higher scale that they feel like they are a worse person
Oh, yeah.
overall for the
And
small
that's-
things they do.
yeah.
Not
Yeah.
really
And the
like,
show also
like,
points
yeah.
that out because he literally says the fact that you can say these things about yourself shows how nice of a person you are. The fact that you care, you notice these things,
yeah, it's
says
just...
more about your character than anything else.
I do think the show would have benefited from a little more time of us seeing their dynamics, and I hope that's where it goes, because I don't know what else the fuck you do with this show after this point if you don't go into their
Beach
school
episode.
life.
Beach episode.
Beach episode.
No, it's funny. The beach episode's normally episode 7. Though.
Yeah.
Watch it be episode 8.
I didn't even think about the fact that Tomo's episode 7 was
Well,
the beach episode
so
until I said that.
Here's the
But
thing.
episode 7's the
They-
beach episode.
they
That's just
said-
the rule.
Come on, guys. They set up in this episode that they're gonna wind up in the same class. You don't
Yeah.
mention it and not do it. This is moving to the school set piece. It has to. There's
yeah, but
no
like beach
way.
episode.
Maybe, yeah, but
Beach episode into new class.
school vacation. Doggo.
Doggo.
I don't want him to be over there. It's where my work clothes are under my blanket.
No,
Simply move the work clothes. You cannot move the doggo.
no, not allowed.
Doggo's like my work clothes. Deal with
But
it.
they're comfy. They
I
smell
feel
like
that.
you.
Do we have other thoughts about Angel?
Angel was fine this week. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I thought it was fine. It's just like I have other things that I would much rather watch personally.
Alright, let's talk about Buddy Daddies.
So Buddy Daddies kicks you in the dick like 17 times this episode. And that also ends with the most wholesome note ever because his family's great and I love them.
Mhm.
So Kazuki's fed up with these two chuckle fucks leeching off him all the time. You know, Miri being a child, and Ray being a terrible
Also a
roommate.
child, right? Also
Yeah.
being a child.
But yeah, so he gets fed up with them not wanting to eat cooking, him having to do all the cleaning, the laundry, dishes, everything. So he leaves them to fend for themselves for 3 days, which is only gonna go great, we swear. Definitely nothing bad happened. While this is happening, Kazuki goes off. He's like, I'm gonna go have a night of fun by myself. Because fuck them kids. So yeah, he goes and does that. Oh, I forgot the start of this episode where he's getting Miri back from daycare and it's raining and PTSD because rain.
An umbrella
And
and
umbrella.
color.
in traffic.
God, this
Yeah.
That wasn't even just a
Miri's
car.
umbrella gets broken because it flies into a street and it gets hit by a truck, which is very sad. But you just get a new one. All this happens.
Hey, at least it didn't
Kazuki
explode.
like talks to Q and stuff. And another big thing happens that we got like a teaser at the end of last episode that someone's has come here to see Kazuki, and we don't know who this is at first. I first thought this was the wife character.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
was really confused about where we were going and what was being set up, and now things make sense.
Because we know that he has a child with someone, or had, or something.
He was going to have.
Yeah, he was like going, something like that. We know he had a significant other at one point, and then Q uses the term sister-in-law, and you're like, oh, so this is her sister. Okay. And you learn that his wife, significant other, whatever, we don't know the technical title. She's dead, and that's where the PTSD comes from. He blames himself for her death, even though it's very much not his fault exactly, but it's very much you don't understand why he thinks it is, because she died due to one of his hitman jobs. It was just she happened to be next to a car that exploded.
It was the worst
that he
wrong place,
happened to
wrong
cause
time
to
of
explode.
It was
all
a
time.
crazy Rube Goldberg machine that resulted in his wife's death.
Yeah, because like he was
Uh-huh.
chasing a guy, and then he shot at the guy, missed and hit like a tire of a truck that then crashed into near his wife and just exploded.
Yeah.
Because of a sniper
They
shot.
shot the tire.
Yeah.
They
That's
shot
sniper,
the,
you're
they
right,
shot
the
the
sniper
tire
shot
of the
the
car
car.
intentionally. It then swerved into a truck that then exploded.
Yes.
But had to wait so that he knew his wife was there.
Yeah.
In context, it is the silliest thing, but realistically, it's one of those, oh fuck, that's horrible moments.
It's like, oh no,
Where
oh no!
Your
Like,
brain,
oh, the truck's gonna hit
your
her.
brain's like,
Oh,
of
no,
course
it's
the
gonna
wife,
explode.
of course the wife's there.
Yeah.
Dude, no, it gets worse because then it flashes back to him like him like with a hand on the stomach, and she's pregnant, and you're like, oh
Yeah.
no,
You're like, oh man.
oh no, double
There's
kill.
a point, I will let Michael continue in a minute, but there's a point in this episode where he flashes back to the conversation with Mary's mother, where she's like, the people with the loftiest ideas hurt their families the most, and I'm just like, I don't, you poor man. You poor man. Michael, continue.
But yeah, so this all leads into essentially we learn about how the
sister-in-law.
sister died because Karin, the sister-in-law, finds him, and she's like, just no one blames you for it. It wasn't your fault. She also doesn't know what his profession is, or where he gets his money that he's been sending to her, because she's the person he's been sending it to, which we learn. We knew it was her family generally, but we didn't know exactly who. But he's like, yeah, I can't accept it. I don't know where it comes from. Also, we don't need it. He's like, no, I killed her. Blah blah blah. We get the flashback. Then this leads into and then we cut back to Ray and Miri. I believe at some point we cut back to them. I don't remember the exact when things happened. But Miri's sick. She has a cold because Ray didn't realize her umbrella was broken and forgot to grab an umbrella on a rainy day. Also brought her to daycare on the wrong day because he didn't realize what day it was. He just Miri said, "Am I supposed to go to daycare?" He's like, "Ah, shit, it's daycare time," without checking the date because he's an idiot.
Wonderful moment here where he goes, "What do you bring to daycare?" And she goes, "That," and points to the note Kazuki has on the wall.
Yeah, because
to
Kazuki
remind
doesn't
her.
fucking know. He needs himself. Gives himself a note. He's good at his job.
It's fucking
He's
adorable.
great. But yeah. And then we have this really tense bit of Ray trying to find where to bring Miri to get her checked up because he doesn't know. He's like, I gotta bring her to the hospital. Where the fuck is the hospital? Oh god, that's not good. And it's one of those things where you're like, fuck, Katsuki, why are you not here? But also, Katsuki, I understand exactly why you're not here. God damn it. And also then he has this like big heart-to-heart with Karin, the sister-in-law, and they talk about the wife. I don't remember her name. It's like
Yosuka?
yeah, that sounds right. And they're like, and she's like, yeah, I'm gonna go to France to do fashion stuff because she's like, I've officially moved on or whatever. or I'm trying my hardest to move on. You shouldn't just always dwell on the past. And then the rain stops, and it's like a really nice bit where she starts talking, and you hear audibly the rain stops. And it's like, wow, what a nice moment, symbolism and stuff. And the sun comes out, and then Kazuki goes back home, and then he has to teach them how to make French toast because they don't know how to cook.
One thing I really appreciated is that Ray is actually smart enough to look at the box for the prescription meds and goes, fuck, I can't give this to a kid.
Yeah.
Like, I really appreciated that bit specifically because it's like, oh, Ray, you're actually smart enough to check this. Like, I'm not saying I thought you weren't, but, like, it's a very odd thing of, like, no, that is very smart to do. I appreciate that.
There are a couple of things I really love about this episode that, to me, made it the best episode this week. One, thank Christ this episode doesn't end with guilt-shaming Kazuki. It's the anniversary of the man's wife's death. He's overwhelmed. He feels like he's doing all the work. It's things that would be acceptable for people to get, like, to do in some way. And, like, the only reason you would put in guilt shaming him is to be like, ha, don't do this in real life. But, like, everyone gained from this experience overall. I really appreciate the show let Kazuki just do his thing, you know, and then when he got back, his takeaway was, okay, Mary was sick, Ray did handle it. He can actually figure things out.
He actually does try.
I appreciate that Ray isn't like Kazuki and could suck up his pride and go to Q and be like, hey, I have a sick child. What the fuck do I do? I don't know. Whereas Kazuki would be like, I can't tell you yet because I don't want us to have to deal with you. Like, there's a very clear difference of how they view that situation. A moment that really, really stings this episode, in my opinion, is before Kazuki leaves, he tells Ray, you don't do enough and you don't go fucking outside. And then Ray has that moment where he goes, I don't know where the hospital is. And those 2 points connecting in my brain was like a fucking dagger. Where I was like, if I was him, that would be the only thing that would be echoing in my mind. Is like, fuck me. I played too much Mario Kart. And of course, everything...
Man would be playing Call of Duty.
Everything with Kazuki... Not in Japan. Everything with Kazuki hurts in this episode. It's so well done. Go ahead, Mason.
I just want to say about the video game comment. Why would you want to be shooting people if your job is shooting people?
True.
He just wants to race, baby.
Yeah, he just wants to have a good time. He just wants to play with Mario.
Why he's playing it on a PS5 is a more important
question.
I
was wondering that too.
Because Mario is
a Sony property. It's a Sony property, yeah.
PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale, best character, Mario.
Yeah. This man's playing the Team Sonic Racing.
I have a couple.
Right?
I know a couple other lines that stuck out in my brain that made me want to scream. It's not like you killed my sister. Walks away in the rain, turns around, I did, screams internally as that happens.
You're like, oh, what does that mean? And then it cuts away. It doesn't give you the flashback for a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The fact that when his sister-in-law goes, I don't need your money, and she doesn't say it in a way that makes you go, oh, you hate... She says in a way where she's like, no, I don't want... It's very clear she's going, I don't want your money. I want you to be a person again. Please live a good life. Like, it's not her going, I don't want your money. I hate your guts. Like, she doesn't come off like that at all. It's very nice for this episode. And of course, you know, the end of the one. Also, fuck you for just growing the flowers that Kazuki and his wife bonded over outside.
Right.
Probably not his fault, to be fair, but crazy. The whole end conversation where Kazuki's like, I don't want to let the memories of her fade because I'm afraid of what that will do. And then his sister-in-law saying memories are not a prison. I think this episode was incredible
But I
for
thought
this
you said
show.
memories are like a prison.
I thought she said I whether what she said her point was memories shouldn't be like a prison, was what she was getting at. Whether they are or they aren't.
I know
They
she said memories
shouldn't be.
can be like a prison, but they shouldn't be or something
Yeah.
like that. That was her whole like thing. But
Also, Miri Umbrella Dance. Miri does Umbrella Dance.
Yes.
it was very
Yeah.
cute.
2 papas. Everybody's
The
happy.
Kyogre Miri was cute, of course.
Now we can go into Ray's tragic backstory.
Come on, I need
child
it.
abuse! Woo! We don't condone child abuse on this podcast.
Oh, this episode, fucking dude.
Yeah, episode was great.
Also,
It's
why
episode
is his sister-in-law just a fucking Steins Gate character?
Listen. I was gonna say it.
Just being
I
right.
can see
That's
it.
all I
Yeah.
could think of when I saw her. I was like, you're a Steins Gate character. Why are you in this show?
She walked out of a time loop to go give Kazuki like some words of wisdom, and then walked back into the time loop.
Do, do,
Other thoughts about Buddy Daddies?
So good. Jed Miri cute. I like her dads. They're great. I just think the show's just really good. It's doing a lot of good things. And it's
I
a good time.
I appreciate Kazuki being a person in this episode.
Yeah.
It's nice.
Rue.
Trigun time. Let's talk about Trigun.
Time to talk about the best show on this fucking podcast. Let's go. I know that's up for debate, but like this episode is really fucking good.
I don't know.
Um,
I think this show is probably leagues above everything else right now in a way
Yeah.
in terms of production. It's one of those I might personally
Bless you.
really enjoy and get a lot out of another show on this podcast, but this is probably the best show on the podcast this season.
Yeah. So
Right now.
um
What we said.
we'll see how it ends up, but like it's doing pretty well for itself right now. So we start off this episode where we're still in the middle of Nick or Wolfwood and Vash fighting Livio. And eventually Wolfwood gets a hold of him after Vash says, hey, he's got to have some sort of memory in him that can make him still human, like something deep down. And Wolfwood notices that when Livio is reloading his gun, he does the same flick that he did when they were kids to flick a lighter open.
So cool.
And it's so fucking cool. Like how they both do it is just so sick. And it flashes him back to their childhood, and he realizes that's what's left is their memories together. So he shoots him in the face and then starts talking to him. And Livio starts getting memories of being who he was back, and then he starts getting the brainwashing treatment again. Because he's remembering all of his memories of being brainwashed, and he doesn't know how to handle this. He shoots himself in the fucking head. So that's our 9-minute point of this episode. And by that point, I was like, have I watched a whole episode?
Yeah,
Why am I a third
This
of the
show
way through?
feels like this episode felt like it was 45 minutes long in
Yeah.
a good way.
Yes. We then cut to Meryl and Roberto are inside the ship with the the desert punks, who are all like, hey, take good pictures of us. We're gonna be in a magazine, right? And they're like, yeah, dude, totally. Please don't kill us.
Meryl's on the verge of tears. This poor
Yes.
girl.
Meryl's freaking the fuck out. Roberto is just kind of there. And Vash comes in, destroying all of them just by beating the shit out of all of this gang. He's like, hey, what the fuck are you guys doing here? I thought you were on, like, you were not on the ship. And they go, funny story about that. Anyways, then Blue Summers and Zazie the Beast show up, and they start pushing the the sand steamer in a course towards the orphanage, and also Blue Summers turns the ion cannon on that happens to be on this ship, because it turns out it's actually a spaceship. Vash realizes this and goes, fuck, okay, well, hey, I can find the original the original bridge for when this was a spaceship. Meryl, when I give you the signal, pull the trigger. Then him and Wolfwood go and pull the ion cannon back, which is a really cool scene. I don't need to go into it. It's just sick. Wolfwood is like pushing this entire ion cannon up by himself until Vash shows up and then actually pushes it out of the way. And then they go, well, fuck, it's still careening into the orphanage. Okay, Wolfwood, you go to the engine room and turn the engine off. I will go somewhere else. Don't worry about it. Wolfwood turns this extremely fucking red hot engine handle that all of the other like engineers could not turn. And Vash goes to the plant room, where we find out the plants are aliens. Vash can communicate with them, and also is maybe one of them. We don't really know yet, but he's definitely got the markings of one. They stop the orphanage. They stop the sand steamer from crashing into the orphanage. All is good with the world. And then Blue Summers and Zazie are. Blue Summers tells Zazie to go pick up Livio's corpse, and he says it can still be useful, which scares me. And that's about all that happened in this episode, but it definitely feels very long in a very good way. Like Sean was saying, I really liked this episode a lot. This was really fucking good.
Yeah.
This episode's sick.
Hey, what was the point I was gonna make? I was gonna talk about something. Oh, Zazie pulls a bug out of his mouth. What the fuck?
Yeah. That's just his power.
Did not need to see that this week.
Yeah.
Little uncomfortable. Vash just non-lethaling everybody in the hallway with a gun. Beautiful.
Yeah.
The butt of a gun. It's literally.
He's like, sorry guys, I gotta go.
Did you know the back of a crowbar?
Personal kids.
It's like a balaclava.
Crowbar.
So interesting thing for me this week. I watched this episode 3 times. I watched it.
God.
I watched it on my own one time. I watched it
With Michael.
with Michael, and then I watched it when I was going to watch it with someone else. I didn't end up doing it, but I was like, well, I might as well rewatch it because it's been like a week since I watched it.
Yeah.
I want to get a refresher on everything that happened. And it started off in the dub, and I was like, I'll listen to what the dub sounds like. I love Johnny Young Bosch. The sub is way better, mostly because Wolfwood's voice is so much better. Like, I can't tell you how much better Wolfwood's voice is in the sub than it is in the dub. And that's not knocking like any dub actors or anything, but like it's a lot more like, it's not as deep and gruff, it's more like kind of more nasally and a little higher pitched, and it just doesn't seem to work. So but
you talked about all the amazing important plot stuff that happens in this episode. There's also an entire moral compass fight between Vash and Wolfwood that's still going, to which Wolfwood concedes for the day. And it's like, fine, I'll believe you. Save the orphanage. If you don't, I'm gonna beat you. I'm gonna beat you up so much you will wish you were dead before I kill you. Also, does Vash's arm crack while he's lifting the ion cannon? Did I see that right?
It seems to, yeah. They can
yes.
focus on that.
I was like, I know Mason will know. He watched it 3 times.
Yes,
He'll be able to confirm this
does.
fact.
Can you say that again, Sean? What happens?
I think his arm.
Vash's arm cracks.
Uh-oh.
His like alien tech arm.
I was pretty sure, yeah, but like I was like, did that?
Yeah. The moment Vash walks into that plant room, I'm like, oh, okay. These plants are like sentient beings. Got it. We're going this route. I didn't need to wait for it to unravel into a fairy.
Yeah.
space
That was
alien.
fucking insane, dude.
For reference, by the way, just so you guys have context, Wolfwood's English VA is the same VA as Todoroki from My Hero and Orphan from Orphan.
I didn't watch that show dubbed.
Also, Nico from Blue Lock, which I know we didn't watch dubbed, but to give you an idea of the characters he voices,
Yeah.
and then Wolfwood. So do with that as you will. But
You know, Trigun good.
Trigun good. Michael,
Yeah,
thoughts?
The show was sick.
Trigun good. Trigun really good.
How'd you feel about Bug coming out of mouth?
Yummy.
There was something, but like,
Did it bug
like
you?
it looked like cool.
It looked like a good bug, not a bad bug.
Yeah.
It wasn't CG
We-
bug in
hold
the
on.
2D show that
By the way,
has.
we had a lot of bugs this week
Yeah, there were a lot of bugs.
because there was the whole stag beetle, rhinoceros beetle bit in
Yeah.
Tomo this week.
Rhinoceros beetle, rhinoceros
Rhinoceros
beetle,
beetle.
rhinoceros.
Which is the only
There was
thing I
that
could
one
think
frame
about.
in Fire Hunter.
Well, yeah. The only thing I could think about while watching Tomo this week during that was the fucking Rokuro Aizen bit about stag beetles, rhinoceros beetles.
Oh.
From Tales of Berseria.
I remember that bit because I played that game.
Yeah, good show. Hi, it's Reborn time. Let's pull the band-aid off. Stuff happens this episode. We're introduced to a lot of characters who it feels like we're supposed to know. The main point of this episode is that everyone's been invited to a ball. The girls do be hungry, haha. Also, God, what's her fucking name? It's the main point of the episode. I forgot her name.
Ferris? No, it's not Ferris.
Who? Ripple?
Ripple. Thank you.
I was like, is
I-
it Ripple or Lynn? Because both of them
Yeah.
are super fucking
Ripple-
Sailing and both super important.
Ripple
Sailing less so.
Ripple starts having COVID mid-episode, which we soon finds out means that she summons bad CGI monsters from the ceilings.
True. She does summon the bad CGI monsters with the power of COVID.
Sean, you need to warn me before I take a drink if you're gonna make a joke like that.
I'm
Jesus
talking about Reborn. I
Christ.
have to try.
So hearing that makes me we need to make a channel in this. I have one in my personal server. It's called Dumb Shit We Said, and it's
Good.
just filled with stupid quotes. Like this episode, Ripple got COVID.
Well, the best part of this episode is when they're fighting in the dining room and Eris decides she doesn't want to punch things because she doesn't want to ruin her dress, so she fires finger laser, and then she
Okay,
goes,
fucking-
this isn't working fast enough. Second finger laser? And just-
Pretty funny.
I'm so sad you didn't get the gif of her fucking
Also, by the
spazzing out.
way,
yeah.
Remember the fact that she killed way more monsters with the finger lasers than were shown after she
Yes.
showed them. Like they pan out and there's like 6 of them on the ground and you're like, she fired like 68 lasers.
they do say she went a little overboard.
Like,
Also, there's no one in that room. It really
bit
was
they
a
got-
room filled with food.
yeah.
Mhm.
I
Gotta
mean,
protect the food.
Michael and I were laughing about this earlier because that bit is just really funny, just because it's slightly too fast.
Yes.
That's what gets me about it. Her spinning with the lasers is just slightly too fast, which
I'm
makes
gonna
it
share you guys
fucking
the funniest
ridiculous.
gif
It's
on
still
all-
Probably
funny.
even better if you do it at like 1.25 times speed.
We have this.
More gear.
We have Boar Gear, which is good because it's 2 frames.
Oh,
I'm gonna
yeah.
imagine if those frames happened rapidly. Boar
I would-
Gear.
I would be afraid. I would put this on stream, but I'm afraid I'm gonna give someone epilepsy. How
Boar
fast it moves.
Gear.
Also, Mason, thank you for putting the Riku, the Mickey. They put bugs in Riku meme in chat. I
Yeah,
appreciate that
you're
too.
welcome.
Hang on, I gotta find the other
They
one
put
that we just...
bugs in him.
It's like the Cali
Um,
Turbo versus Cali fucking Boost.
But they eat. There is I will say, I do appreciate this episode takes the eating gag at least one step further and makes them speak their own language while they eat, which I think at least adds to the bit.
Mhm.
It's still
They understand each other. No one else does, but they
Yeah.
understand each other, and that's a good bit.
then we get to the crux of the episode, which is, yeah, Ripple has this weird disease thing. She's like breaking down and summoning these beasts.
She's got COVID.
Because there are two types of Highlanders. One of which she was made from, and they have they made planned obsolescence for their defense weapons that are people? What? We really glance over this point in a not fully described way, which is super crazy given that it's the main plot of the episode. Then we meet the other Highlander's brother, who's like, "Oh, you saved my sister. Can I see her?" And they go, "Yeah, where is she?" "Oh, my tits. Sorry." And then he goes, "Come here now. I will protect you." And my brain immediately goes, "They're gonna do a shot where she stares at his chest and there's no tits, so she runs away." But no, she just bites him. And then after we run through the whole entire booba bit, again for the 5th time, surprise, they're keeping it. And then Chris manages to convince the Chancellor, the king, someone who gets referred to by His Majesty, who's very important, but clearly not Lizette's father because he's too young, I think? I'm not sure. We don't get a clear explanation of who he is. Also, there was a moment of racism in this episode where, like, the knights are like, the Hyrule Menace are summoning the creature. That means they are now our enemy. And everyone's like, hold on a minute, let's calm down there. We get that you want to defend people, but maybe that's going a step too far. It's just, overall, lots of things happened this episode. All to basically say, hi, we're taking Ripple back to the academy with us to protect her and kill a bunch of beasts so that we can do more CGI combat. There's this weird side love plot, potentially, that Chris starts to shoot down right away. No, I understand this show needs to go. I have no words to defend a show like this. It gave me one of the best scenes of the season, which is finger laser. I can't complain anymore. We're about as far as this show could probably run. It's one of those things where our other shows that are also, like, maybe even slightly within this ballpark, are actually doing interesting things with their plot or changing things up on a dynamic, and this show is still very much this show. Whoops. It happens sometimes. Hi, let's talk about a show that I think deserves... sorry, did you guys want to talk about Reborn?
Reborn was fine.
I think you said everything.
It was like a completely
Reborn.
fine show. It's a completely fine show with a fine episode. It's fine.
It's
And things
fine.
were doing like good shit this week. It was fine.
There's not enough anywhere at all about, like, it doesn't go far enough in any direction with anything it should to make it more interesting.
Yeah, like English is still funny. Like the English literally just wants to fight stuff. It's still a funny bit. I still enjoy it. Like when the she's like, yeah, I want to like we keep Ripple at the school, and then the one person's like, she's just doing it so she can fight the Magicite beasts. I hope you fucking understand. I was like, yeah, you understand. You get the bit.
There's a part in this episode where my brain clicked and I go, oh, this is just Ruby. We've just made Team Ruby. There's 4 of them. One of them's rich. One of them's getting discriminated against. One of them's a big power puncher. The other one's a small feral girl. Yeah, and they're family, right? We've literally walked into a Ruby cast somehow.
Yes.
The problem is we have no additional side cast that also rocks. And also...
Except they also, like, forgot to, have the character arc where the person who's rich and racist against the person who gets discriminated against, they forgot to, like, make them have a reason to do that. They just, one episode went, yeah, okay, I don't hate you now. What?
Look, she realized she was too mean. Let's talk about Sugar Apple Fairy Tale, which I really wanted to put higher because it has some really, really cool scenes this week.
Yeah.
But,
it's like first half is fucking amazing.
Its competition exists. There's a lot to talk about. Michael, go ahead.
But yeah, so Sugar Apple Fairy Tale this week, we continue with our stuff of her making the fairy for the Duke of Phylax. And so she makes some more things, and he continuously keeps going, It's wrong. Everything's wrong. You're not getting closer. You're terrible. You suck. How dare you? You're the worst. But also, they're stuck here doing this. We don't learn until much later in the episode, but the idea is that they're essentially stuck here doing this. Because he's insane. And like some of the best scenes is him destroying one of her infections. Which is like crazy lighting changes, crazy color changes. It was a good ass scene.
This scene.
It went
raw.
Jonas.
I was like, crazy. This shit goes hard. And then this all leads into Jonas kidnapping Mithril's wing while Mithril was sleeping by just walking into the room. Which causes Anne to have to send Shal away, or else Jonas will kill Mithril. And he goes, I need you tomorrow to submit to everything I say, which I thought was going to lead to much worse thing.
Yeah.
God, that I was like, oh, he's going to do some terrible shit. And then he goes, I want to leave. She's going to stay. Well, we already know Anne wants to stay. This meant nothing, except now Shal's gone, except he's not gone, because he's back. He ended up walking into the Viscount of Sugar Confections, like, half a mile away from the castle, randomly, because...
Well, he was on the way to the castle.
Yeah.
He was on his way to the castle because the Duke's on trial to be murdered, because he hasn't touched grass in 15 years or something.
In 2 years, in like a year and a half, yeah.
But yeah,
specifically, he has
not
to touch the grass of the
yet.
capital. He has to touch the capital grass and attend a nice
But he
conference.
has also
he needs to
not
go to
touched
Lewiston.
grass.
He
That's
literally
true.
has not touched grass because he is sad. And
I
then
wonder
also,
why.
and finally realizes that the fairy in the picture has both of their wings because the sun shines in and makes you see the picture that you could have seen before.
You know, the 3800 times.
I even went back. I was like, oh, is it like more clearly visible in a second? No, it's
No.
exactly the fucking same.
I will say that one crazy thing is like she's looked at that picture for like 80 hours consecutively, and she didn't notice it had two wings in any of her like recreations at all. And now I want to go back and look at all her artworks and see if they all have one wing too.
Yeah, I want to check that.
Like, if so, that guy had a total right to go in and be like, "What the fuck?" You know?
Just once, I just want like even just as like a blooper or just someone making it, just one of the sugar confections is just Sephiroth. One way
Mario
it
and Luigi versus Sephiroth.
makes sense.
Yeah, it looks like she has two wings in her sugar confection in this episode that he smashed on the ground, but I can't tell.
It's hard because she has a really flowy dress and really long hair. So like, there's a lot.
Yeah.
Smashed it so
That's
fucking
the
fast in
idea
episode.
is that in the pigs it's hard to tell where it turns from hair to wing to dress
Yeah.
in like the painting. That's what the light's supposed to show, is that you can like clearly see that pattern on the wings. Except the important side of that is like, oh, that's the second wing, doesn't have the pattern visibly shown.
No, she totally put
Even
two
with
wings on
the
this
light.
drawing, by the way. This totally looks like two wings. I could be wrong, but
No, it absolutely does look like two wings the whole time. It's just that Anne's dumb. As the idea is that the light like shines it correctly. She's like, oh, wait a minute. I've been being racist this whole time. Fuck. My bad, G.
There's a couple of odd things this episode. Part of me, don't get me wrong, I think this guy's off his rocker. I definitely think he's using intimidation and brute force. Part of me doesn't believe he hit Jonas. Because we never see him do it, and he always grabs the sword. He doesn't default to physical himself. So, like, I almost feel like Jonas is bullshitting us. Because I don't trust him, and I find it so much easier to think Jonas is... And also, the way Kathy smirks through half this episode feels like this is another setup. To, like, make the Duke look even worse, and, like, let him get out of here without by manipulating Anne in different ways. Because Anne does really flip when when it clicks in her brain. She's like, oh, he might have been being physically abused by this guy. I'll let him get out of here. Yeah, she's gonna do it anyway. But like, it really does make me wonder how much of what Jonas does this episode, is truthful, especially because of how light the payoff seems for the measures he went to.
I mean, he just wants to leave.
Yeah, but he's like, I will kill your I will kill your worker fairy. And it's like, okay, let's calm down. Gets rid of Shell. And then just asks to, like, I like Michael said, maybe not the places Michael's head went, but I thought we were doing something more serious, like, I'm going to kill the Duke. Or something equally insane.
I just expected something more than,
yeah,
I'm going to leave, she's going to stay, and she's going to have to say yes to stay. Because, like, at the end of the day, Jonas didn't realize she wanted to stay at that point, but it was just like, this felt like it was going to be so much more than she's just going to stay.
This episode goes real hard in on giving us the confirmation that Anne likes Shell. Don't know how I feel about the choice of doing that in the episode where you also go, yeah, he's over 100. We all knew this was gonna be here, but like this is it's the same thing with the vampire thing. At this point, you just have to accept it. If you're in on this particular thing, we also get the bit where I actually do really enjoy the conversation between Anne and Shell this episode where they talk about Liz. I think it's very nice, like back and forth with them. Mithril Wingman's really hard this episode for in an interesting way. Good on him, I guess. Yeah, this I'm interested to see how this concludes and where it goes from here still, because this has been a really interesting arc. This man looks like he's fucking on his deathbed half the time when they zoom into him in his depressive blankie mode on his couch. He's just like, why are you in my restroom? Please leave. Oh shit, you're starting shit again? Picks up sword. But yeah, no, the breaking of the sugar confection, the style of art it uses, even the panning shots up the stairs are all like really cool. Like this episode looks really nice.
Yep.
Yeah.
You can tell a lot goes into the production of this show because it is genuinely like really well done for a lot of the animation that they do.
Big pretty.
I thought this episode was good.
Yeah, I mean, I just like Sugar Apple Fairy Tale. I think it's really cool. I like the shoujo aspect of it. I like the show itself. I think it's just still ramping up really enough, but it's getting close to like the end of the season. So it's like I hope this isn't the end of the season, this arc. But like clearly, like the guy just wants her to make the fairy again. Like he doesn't even want the confection; he wants the fairy back. But like, I hope it doesn't work out that like he gets it back. I hope he's just satisfied with like such a perfect confection that he's like, you know what, good enough. But yeah, I mean, it's what it is. I think the show's okay. This week, like as a show, I think it's great, but this week I thought it was okay.
I did really like Shell's point of like he wants something that you cannot make. You have to understand this. Coming from a man who's very clearly lost something that he does not feel he can replace. In the moment. Also, the shot of him brooding on the random derelict ship is so random. Yes, and the way they have Anne look out the window makes it seem like it's so much closer than it is, because then it zooms out to him, and the castle's all the way fucking over there. It's really funny to me.
Mm-hmm. My man left the castle and he was fucking gone. I was ready for him to turn around and try to do something like, you know, sneak around and try to figure out what's actually going on. But he's like, nope, she said she wants me to leave, therefore I am done. And
no,
like, what?
Shell has really felt like a character who doesn't fall for a lot of like tricks or setups, and he really took this one kind of seriously, which kind of surprised me. But then also, she delivered it kind of straightforward in a way that probably seemed really real to him. And it was after their conversation about Liz, which, you know, there was obviously a clear feeling that maybe boundaries were crossed there. Guys, did you know that's our last episode to talk about?
I did.
Crazy.
We did
That's
it.
why
We're already down to 7 after this week.
I was telling John as well earlier this week, I was like, man, it is so weird how much less anime it feels to go from like 12 or 11 shows to 8. Because it feels like I can just get it done in like 2 hours.
I think it's just
Yeah,
because like
it's
when
also
you have,
that it isn't 3 episodes. Of
that first
each of
week is
them.
just so hard because it's 3 episodes and it just hurts.
Yeah. But like even after that, like 11 episodes does feel like a lot, and then you get to like 8 and you're like, oh, I can do this in a night. Like this is fine.
Yeah, it's also that you get rid. We tend to get rid of stuff we don't like watching early, so you don't feel like something lasts an extra hour than it needs to. Like this
Yeah.
next week's gonna go. It's
Mhm.
almost entirely gas now.
Yes.
And given what it looks like some of the episodes are going to be about next week from just thumbnails and episode titles, we're in for a week next week, I think. It seems like High Card plans to go more into Finn's background based on thumbnail, which I'm excited for if that's the case.
Big excited.
I am kind of holding out for me personally on this season that that potentially Tomo might walk away with it because it might be the only thing that fully comes to a nice end at the end of the season. Is my hope, because I think it still can actually end in the episode count it has, maybe. Whereas like Trigun, I don't know. I do not know if it's finishing.
I doubt it is.
It really doesn't feel like it, right? Like it feels
I
like
mean,
there's
original Trigun's
so
like
much.
60 episodes
Yeah,
or
there's
something
so
like that.
much, which is fine.
Which-
like
Granted, like the introduction of Wolfwood in original is like episode 7 or 8 or something
Yeah.
like that. So like we've cut a lot of stuff out.
Trimmed a lot of fat, baby.
yeah, but it doesn't feel like we're at a climax point yet at all. In the same way, like Buddy Daddies could definitely come to a stop, but it would feel almost a little weird. Like I don't. It's interesting. High Card definitely, if it somehow nudges its way up, doesn't feel like it's gonna end. And Sugar Apple also kind of feels like it's a show that just keeps
long-term
going,
one.
right?
Yeah.
Like kind of all of our shows feel like they can keep. Even Tomo at this point right now, like doesn't necessarily feel like there's an end clear in sight yet. The only reason I think it might is because I have the manga knowledge and my brain's kind of like I think we're in a fine spot in terms of where we are that we could. I've also said that I didn't think there was enough to do another season of Tomo. Just from my memory of how long it was, I felt that if it doesn't end, it has to do like an OVA or a movie. Was how I felt like the adaptation translated. But again, it's been almost a year since I read Tomo.
Mm-hmm.
Guys, did you know we're only 2 anime seasons away from the 2nd season of JJK?
Hell yeah.
Whoa.
I'm here for Shibuya.
I'm here to not finish Shibuya.
I'll eventually go back and start reading that manga again.
I have to go back and start reading all my shit. I'm behind on all of it.
Same.
I'm
need
excited
to
to
go and
sit.
read Oshinoko.
I'm excited to sit a bunch of people down to have them read Oshinoko, or watch
Right.
Oshinoko as it airs, and then tell them to go
Yeah,
read
no.
it.
I went to read Oshinoko and realized that Manga Plus is annoying, and then if you don't have the paid version, you have a one-time look at all manga chapters.
Yep.
So I need to be ready to sit down and actually read through it on my phone, because it's only on the mobile version as well.
You get the last 5 online, I think, right?
Maybe. I'm like 15 or so behind on ONK is the
I believe
problem.
you get the most recent 5 online on the computer, but then on the phone you have to it's like you get the most recent 5 as many times, but then you like any one other than that you have to read. You get 1 read. That's how I had to
and
read through
it's-
Chainsaw Man.
eh.
Luckily, if like you exit out on accident, like the app crashes or something, it'll like come back and be like, "Hey, you were reading this. Did you want to finish your one-time read?" And you're like, "Yes, please, thank you."
Okay. This one thing where it's like I need to like sit down and be like ready, because if I exit out, I get fucked. That's annoying.
Hi, we have results. As traditionally, Tomo, full saves. Buddy Daddies, Trigun, full saves. Sugar Apple, full saves. High Card, and Angel
Got
Next Door,
gun.
one slay each. Fire Hunter, 2 slays. Reborn, 4. I told you I knew what was happening this week. I wasn't afraid to do it. We're getting rid of Reborn. To no one's surprise, it's time for it to go. Maybe.
Shoutouts to Can We See an Actual High Card Soon? 2 of Hearts equals Sleeper. Great name.
Not even the right card from the episode. Pretty sure it's a 2
True.
of diamonds. I think it's blue.
It is.
So guys, that'll be it for the episode. We will see you guys sometime next week where we keep on going, baby. We'll cut down to half the pack. Crazy, never feels like it. Yeah, absolutely wild. But we'll talk to you guys then. Have a
Bye-bye.
good night.
Go to the Glock.